This episode of the Pu'u Muay Thai podcast is brought to you by pmtlifestyle.com, Authentic Muay Thai Lifestyle by Pu'u. Definitely go check out the website at pmtlifestyle.com for some awesome lifestyle merchandise. That's for those of you out there either involved in Muay Thai, looking at getting involved in Muay Thai, and embrace a healthier lifestyle to live the life of Nak Muay. Go check it out. So Wadi Kop, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Pu'u Muay Thai podcast. So Wadi Kop, guys. This is Kru Jonathan over here at the Pu'u Muay Thai podcast. Today I have my brother Coach Josh in. We're going to continue on some of kind of like how Pu'u Muay Thai became to be. We had part one where we left off where I first moved back up to Ventura after I was living in North Hollywood with Ajahn Nakweed. But yeah, how you doing today, bro?
Doing very well. What about you?
Doing good. I was up training with Coach Ryan today up in Santa Barbara. Second time being up there since the whole shutdown and stuff like that too. So super stoked to go up there and train with him. We made some video content for Santa Barbara.
Sweet.
So it's pretty awesome. Had some video of him holding pads for Carolina and stuff like that too.
Very cool.
Yeah, super happy to be able to do it.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time up in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, you've been up there a lot, and I've been like that's been my thing is to go up there and be able to train Ryan.
Yeah.
And he's been having that spark to train again, which is awesome. He's been sparring with the students and everything too.
That's good.
Yeah. So today he was super dead. He's like, man, I didn't sleep well last night, and I just want to be able to like go up there and make him train a little bit. And he moved the body. He held some pads for me and stuff like that too. It was just awesome to be able to get back to it that way. So I know we have a couple people coming in here. If you guys are listening to this later on Spotify and iTunes, we're also live on Instagram right now. What's up, guys? See a couple people in here. I'm going to say hi to them. Kogan Dojo, Muay Thai. What's up, man? Phuket Training Club. Hello. D805 Legend. How you doing? Mr. Luna High. How you doing, sir?
What up?
It's Connor. I know you were training Coach Josh earlier.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Good session.
So, what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to kind of go through a couple different things about, like I said, about like how the Muay Thai Academy came to be here in Ventura with Pu'u Muay Thai. And so the last episode we left off where I moved back up to Ventura. So at that time when I moved back up, I want to say, like I moved up expecting I was going to be able to go back down to Nakweed's and train like a few times a week and be able to train enough to fight.
Yeah.
So I was still carpooling with my friend Rick and Kevin at the time. So, I was going down there like maybe 3-4 times a week with them when I moved back up here. And at the time, all of a sudden, Nakweed was still holding promotions with stand-up promotions. And they had Sanchai was going to be set to fight Kevin Ross. I know we're over at Coach Ralph's house the other night for Phil's birthday.
Yeah,
and he had the Dancing with Sanchai book, right? So it's on that fight.
Yeah.
So that's, I told Nakweed, I actually met up with him the other day. I'm like, do you know there's a book written about, like, your guys' promotion? Like a fight on your promotion? And he had no idea.
Yeah, I have that book right now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, there's a ton of, like, pictures. Like, Scott Hirano was one of the photographers then. He's very, like, big and, like, I think he's doing big in fight photography for, like, UFC and stuff like that now. So it's really awesome to be able to see them kind of, like, from how it was when they were first starting, essentially.
Yeah.
What we did, early days for sure. So they had these fights going on, and like I was still like going down there and training, and it was gonna be an all pro card. And, like of course I was gonna go attend. I'm like hell yeah, I'm gonna go watch. And as the events start getting closer, all of a sudden they're like, hey, we want to put 2 amateur fights in, and it's like, Jonathan, do you want to fight on it? And I was, yeah, I want to fight on it. I just moved back up here. I'm like hell yeah, I can still train and do this stuff. But of course, what ended up happening was, I came up and it became hard to get down to the valley. My friend Brian King, who trains here, he was like, hey, he lived right across the street from Nakweed's gym. And he said, like, hey, you would be able to just stay at my house, essentially. So I thought that was going to be like a really cool option. Man, is this guy peeing out in front of my place?
I mean, I'm thinking...
That's very strange. There's this guy out in front of my place right now.
Literally spilling some urine right now.
Is he? No.
I'm Pro.
Yeah, let's see it. For those of you on Instagram Live, let's see what this guy's doing. What is this? What is this? Pleasures of running a Muay Thai academy.
He might just be on his phone.
But it's strange thing to do like that, right?
I don't know. Everything's weird at the moment. So
yeah.
Shut down.
I mean, we got that on the podcast, so I mean, I don't see a puddle building there.
No, I don't either.
But I'm not gonna write it off. But
yeah,
if he's peeing over
maybe
there,
he's doing slamming some heroin. You know, throwing the hair off.
Hey, you never
dancing
know.
with Mr. Brown style.
Man, that's funny. That's kind of what I wanted to do this year too. So just you get random characters that come in here. So once Knockwood asked me to go fight on this, I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna make this happen. I started running every day. I was pretty overweight at that time because I wasn't able to train a lot. You know, I was fucking around with my diet. I was doing like this slow carb diet. I was trying, keto. I was trying all this different stuff because my body was growing. I was pretty young. I didn't quite understand how to like manage that, I guess.
Keto so hip.
Oh, well, that was 2011. Yeah, it was 2011, so it wasn't that hit back then.
Yeah, but it is now.
Mm-hmm. We had a lot of people talking about keto and ketogenesis, all this other crazy stuff too. And that was very strange. Okay,
yeah,
bro.
No comment.
I'm gonna say that the guy was probably doing drugs.
Yeah, most likely.
Well, luckily we're open to deal with that, right?
Yep.
So when we come into back into the fight thing, sorry, I keep getting like sidetracked by that stuff. It was just random.
Main Street.
Yeah, Main Street. So I committed to taking the fight. I started running, training a lot. Knock was like, hey, he had a game plan for me for this person. And at the time, I hit up my old trainer, Fred Lemus, seeing if he would be able to help train me. And he's like, oh, hell yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah, rest in peace, Fred. I thought like he's going to be able to train me. He said he would be able to at the time, and he would like to, but this is when he was kind of, if you guys know him, he was very much like a free spirit. So like when he was on, and he'd be able to train with you. When he wasn't on, it wasn't like, he just wouldn't be there. He'd be partying. So at the time too, so they're in Oxnard where he was training at, and I didn't have a car. So I had the road bike, our mom's road bike. So I was road biking it from Johnson over to Costco.
Yeah.
Which was like sketchy then. Now it's a little bit more developed. It's easier to get over there on the roads.
Yeah.
Probably still somewhat sketchy now, but
it's doable.
Yeah.
Back then it wasn't.
No, it was very much right on the side of the highway with 18-wheelers going past me. But I did it. I would go over there. I'd go train when he was there. And sometimes I'd show up and he just wouldn't be there. So that happened a lot. And it kind of sucked because I wasn't able to train a lot. Yeah. And I pretty much was training 2, maybe 3 times a week. Like I was training maybe 2 times a week up here, but not even really like training. I didn't have anybody push me.
You didn't have the community part.
No, my energy level was really like fluctuating and stuff at the time because I was messing around with my diet and I was trying to lose weight and I just had this whole like backwards mindset to it. I guess I was doing my road work. I was running. I was getting up every day at 5:30 and going to go run for my 5-6 miles. I did that, but I wasn't eating appropriately. I was doing like these cheat days because the slow carb diet that they had was like, oh, you can do one day, eat whatever you want. I was eating like Chinese food, ice cream, energy drinks, and
like you do when you deprive yourself.
Yes, and this is like things that I learned. Like, don't do that. Very simple. You just don't do that. As I continued on to train, whatnot. I can't remember what you were doing. You must have been doing your music stuff back then.
I was obsessed with buying music gear, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was working my, like, slave 9-to-5 job. So I was like, I had a garage full of music gear, and I was learning music production.
That is when you were working at Parker.
Yeah.
That's right.
I had voice lessons, guitar lessons, keyboard lessons, music production lessons forever. So all my money and focus went to that.
Yeah. So, as I was training and stuff like that, I would go down to Knockweeds. I would stay at Brian's house. And the way I got down there, because my carpool situation became more...
Train, right?
What? Yeah, I would take the train.
I remember that.
Because my carpool situation wasn't, like, the most solid, and I needed to be able to get down there. So I would go take the train. I would leave here in Ventura at, like, 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
The train here is stupid. Like, the commuter train is supposed to be for commuters. But you have to leave at, like, no later than, like, 5 a.m. to be able to leave from Ventura. Otherwise, you have to be in Camarillo. If you're going to be there, leaving later to get down to LA. So I'd take the train from Ventura
I just packed all my stuff in a suitcase, all my training equipment, all my clothes for the day. I packed as much food as I could, and all that good stuff. Laundry detergent, everything.
Yeah, backpack life.
Yep. And I'd pack in the train. I would take it down to Union Station. After I get off at Union Station, I'd take the Red Line to North Hollywood, which put me off right at Nakwi's gym at the time and Brian's apartment. So I'd go stay there. And very grateful for Brian. He had a dog and stuff like that back then, so I'd hang out with his dog during the day. And I was doing some website work back then, but I didn't really have a laptop. Like now, I'm like grateful I have a laptop.
Laptops.
Yeah, I had like this little mini one. I think I still have in the back. If you've seen that little black laptop back there, it's like a notebook or a netbook or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, something really, really ghetto. Sweaty Cop Cat, Sweaty Cop Jaden. What's up, man?
Yo.
I see Carol in there and everything too. But what's up?
It's a mom too.
Oh yeah, mom. Hey mom. Hey mom, look, no hands. When I was doing those rides down there, like, sometimes or most times I ate out. I would have to eat. There's like a Greek place, it was like called Daphne's Greek Diner or something like that, and it was like a franchise.
Is that bad?
Yeah, it's just you're eating out. You don't get to control your food.
True.
And I would eat like Panda Express. I'd have like just the steamed vegetables, rice, and like.
Gets the job done.
Yeah, I had like green beans and like chicken or something like that. Whatever I could get that was like somewhat healthy.
So much worse.
Dude, yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
But it's because like I didn't feel comfortable like using like buying a bunch of stuff and having it at Brian's. Like I just didn't have that thing figured out for myself then.
Takes time.
Yeah. I mean I knew about how to meal prep, but not when I was on the road doing this kind of stuff, So I was down there, I would train as much as I could. We'd get coconut water, go back to his house, and I would get my freaking Panda Express, and I'd leave him and his girlfriend at the time alone to, enjoy some time with each other at the end of the day, and I wouldn't be, like, living in their apartment. I would stay there for, like, 2 or 3 days, sometimes 4, and then I would come back to Ventura. And it was really tough because, like, when I was freelancing then with my web work, and I had this shitty notebook, I couldn't do a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
And, like, I couldn't do any of the graphic stuff, nothing. I just had my desktop. So I did the best I could to communicate and stuff like that, and I really minimized the amount of client work. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be gone for 4 days. Then I'm going to work for 3 days straight, essentially. Like, I'll work, like, 12-hour, 16-hour days on the computer, back-to-back, along with the running and stuff like that, too. What's up, Lucas? Glad you made it, man. So as I came through and was able to start, getting this kind of training going, we became less and less frequent with training with Fred. Is just like started not showing up, whatever it may be. I know before, this just hit me right now, I was going to have another fight at, I think it was called the Lotus Festival. It was at the Echo Park, in Echo Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember that? I think our cousin Herb was supposed to come and stuff like that. I think you may have been there.
Yeah, we were at that event. I was there.
Yeah, you came to it, but I didn't end up fighting.
No.
I believe what happened at the time, I had my opponent, I cut weight, and I was staying at Brian's house at the time, and Nakweed had a promotion, and we were helping out the promotion, and the next day I was fighting. So I cut weight and stuff in Brian's, bathtub at his house. I cut from like 152 to like, I think I was fighting at like 140 pounds or 143 or something like that.
So you cut like 10 pounds?
Yeah, but for me that was like normal. At that time I knew how to do it. Don't recommend it for anybody out there, but it definitely was one of those things that, hey, I did it and got through it. We had somebody who was going to give me an IV, but I didn't end up being able to connect with him. And, we kept missing each other. He was driving down with Fred, this guy Robbie Aguilar. If you're listening to this, Mr. Aguilar, hello. I still run into him occasionally. The last time I saw him, though, was at Fred's funeral.
Gotcha.
But, so I didn't get to rehydrate properly, but I was just like, whatever, I'm stoked to be able to fight. The person I was set to fight, they showed up, everything, and then when I left to go get food and I came back, they said my opponent pulled out, but then I'm seeing my opponent get his hands taped up, and they were friends with the promoter, and they just switched the fight. They gave him an easier fight. So,
No comment.
What?
No
Yeah,
comment.
no comment. All respect to them, but for me at the time, I was pissed because like, dude, what do you mean my opponent pulled out? He's right there getting his hands taped, and he's like doing this, looking away, like, because he heard me saying, and I was very pissed off at the time. Because I just went through all this stuff, and to be able to make this fight happen with the train, like doing all this stuff, it was a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you have an opponent get pulled or you get pulled. I've only had it happen once. My opponent pulled out, and then they gave me somebody more experience. That was the one time I went out of pee blood. Remember that?
Yes, I do. So that's why, but just fighting, it's amateur.
Yeah.
And I want to say that stuff comes around. Not saying this was a result of it, but I want to say like a fight or two later, that guy broke his leg in one of the fights, like tip snap. So I was just like, maybe that's karma.
He didn't sell the kick with the hands. He just threw it and overcommitted.
I don't know, no clue. But I didn't see it. I saw leg cast. I'm like, oh well, there you go. Not wishing harm on people, but
Ouch.
I inflicted a lot of harm on myself to be able to get ready for the ring at that time, and a lot of sacrifice mentally and physically and time-wise and everything too. So what ended up happening after that is that's when I got invited into that fight. Oh, going back to that Lotus Festival, that's when like Victor Saravia, I think that was like his second amateur fight. If you guys know who Victor Saravia is, dude's a badass. So I'll try to get him on, I'll link his Instagram, but he's also a vegan athlete too. But total badass. He's been fighting K1. He's Lion Fight champion and stuff like that too. I think at 120 pounds or 122 pounds also.
Damn, nothing.
Yeah, he's solid. Or I want to say he was fighting 127 as an amateur. Like he fought on that card right there, that one that was in Port Hueneme. He fought on that one too. He broke the guy's arm, but by throwing him, the guy like landed weird and broke his arm. That was pretty badass though. So he fought on there. I know there's a couple other people that kind of went through Muay Thai that were around there too. We stayed and watched the fights. Nakwi felt bad, and he's like, hey, we're doing these fights with Sanchai. It's going to be fighting Kevin Ross. We had...
Dancing with Sanchai?
Yeah. Romy Adonza, I believe, fought... he fought this guy... Was it Romy that was fighting? No. It was Kunitaka Fujiwara fought Ronga V Sasipapa from Sasipapa Gym.
Yeah, another one.
So this guy was from Japan, was fighting Thailand, essentially. Here in Los Angeles. I think that was the co-main event. And I trained with Ronga V quite a bit. Sorry, my computer's trying to reset, of course. But, hey, look, it's our cousin, Cotrinas.
What's
Hello.
that? I can't see.
The Cotrinas, right here. Boom. I think, is that Daniel? Can't tell, or is that, Danielle. Yeah, Danielle, that's right. When I got invited to fight on that, I was like, hell yeah. Like, I knew Ronga V, and like I knew his trainer Takun, his handler, from going to Sasi Prapa and having their fighters over and stuff like that before. And staying over at the gym, went and eat dinner with them, all that stuff when we were in Bangkok.
Malapet was from that gym.
Yeah, Malapet is from that gym. So if you guys follow like American Muay Thai, Malapet was pretty much like, he's one of those guys, he fought Kevin Ross. And that was a stepping stone for Kevin Ross too, was to fight Malapet. And he beat him. At the time, Malapet wasn't training a lot, not taking anything away from Kevin Ross.
I saw that fight.
Yeah, but I think Kevin Ross, he was picking up a little notch, and Malapet was kind of just cruising at the time. And he started picking up his training a lot once the Lion Fight started coming around. For Malapet, he started picking up his training. Yeah. And started like actually having like 4 to 5 week training camps as opposed to like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. Steven, Danielle's brother. Got it, Steven. Got it. So, what's up, man? So, as we got these fights set, I was like, hell yeah, I had to make this happen. And, like, at the time, like, Sanchai had already fought for Nakwi's promotion before. And, like, I got to train with him and stuff like that. And it was, like, I was going to get to train with him again the week of, but I couldn't get down there. I couldn't get down to L.A.
Was it the one time that he accidentally broke one of your friends'
Oh, arms? Yeah, that's right. That's funny. It's funny that you brought that up. Actually, hey, the Muay Thai shorts that I have pinned up that are in the back? Can you go grab them real quick while I talk about that? Just show on here. But what ended up happening, my brother, Coach Josh, brought it up. I know the week of that fight, when Ken Ross and Sanchai were going to fight. So Ronga V and Sanchai were out here, as well as like Kunitaka, the Japanese fighter, and stuff as well. And Kevin Ross was too. They were all training at Nakwi's gym. I think I was down there when Kevin Ross was training. I can't remember. They've been there so many times. Everything kind of like hit and miss. It's hard to connect the dots because I wasn't journaling back then. And if anybody's out there that's competing now, journal your shit, man. Like, or do a podcast, something, video logs, anything to document what you're doing. So our friend Boren was sparring with Sanchai. He got super excited. And just to kind of pre-frame this, our friend Boren has like a black belt in Tang Sudo. Like one of the first things they teach you is how to break fall. So Boren's been doing Muay Thai maybe for like 6-7 years by this point. He's from Cambodia. You know, dedicated to Muay Thai and like all that stuff at that time. Obviously like a lifelong martial artist. So what ended up happening, did you find, no, not the...
I couldn't find it, but I did find this neat.
I think it's like, I want to say it's in like one of the shelves. It's stuck between something.
Okay, so it got moved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, leave those on your seat. But yeah, it's like a black suede thing that they're pinned onto. But it's Josh. It's like one of the drawers on the left-hand side. It's just sandwiched on top. Okay. It's relevant to the story, guys. That's why I want to get Coach Josh to bring it out. So we had our friend Bourne was doing like just some technical sparring with Sanchai, and he got really excited. And Sanchai caught and swept him. And this is where it's relevant that Bourne knows how to break fall. He did the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do while you break fall, which is he put his arms back like behind him. So he falls and like he basically snapped his ulnar radius. He broke you keep that while we're
So you get when you spar Sanchai and you're different. Yeah.
So he ended up snapping the bone in his arm and had to get a steel rod in there. And Sanchai felt super bad about it and gave him like a pair of shorts that he was training at the time. He felt like super bad. I don't blame him.
Even though technically it was Bjorn's fault.
Oh yeah, he fell straight back. It is what it is. But I was bummed because I couldn't go down there and train. I wasn't able to, like, I felt like I missed out on, like, that community thing, like you were talking about. Like, Naku's like, you have to come train. Like, dude, I get to train with Sanchai. Like, that would have been such a big confidence boost for me at the time. But, and especially because I didn't really have a training camp. I trained, like, maybe, like, 3 times a week, if I got lucky.
You were an odd duck out.
Yep. So, what ended up happening was, I got down there. I think I drove down our mom's car. She'd let me in the car for the weekend. I drove down to Wayne's. Her AC wasn't working. And I'd sweat out a bunch of weight. Man, I think I went to I wanted to say I did it in like the LA Fitness jacuzzi by myself. So here's the deal: is I weighed like 153.5 pounds, and I was supposed to be 135.
That sucks.
Yeah, so I sweated out, and I did this all by myself. Like, I don't ever recommend it. Hey, Dylan IV 182, what's up, man? So I never like recommend doing this stuff by yourself because like I almost passed out a couple times like crawling out of there, and I did as much as I could to just sweat that stuff out. So I got all the way down to like 137 pounds the night before weigh-in. And if you guys have ever sweat out that much weight, you don't really sleep that well. Yeah. So I didn't really sleep. And my mouth was just super dry. I remember having to like crush ice cubes in my mouth, swish them, and then just spit it out. And I tried doing a couple more sweat sessions between like between like the evening and then when weigh-ins was in the afternoon the next day. And like I want to say that I only lost like 0.2 pounds between like the evening and then. That's how dry I was. Usually like this, you'll lose like a pound or 2 from like just sleeping.
Yeah.
I lost nothing. And I didn't eat anything either. I ate nothing.
So you're saying you're being smart, SMRT?
What Josh is saying is I was being dumb, for those of you that are listening out there. And this is things that I talked about like in my book, Preparing for Your First Muay Thai Fight. I got one right up here, so those of you on Instagram can see. So those are things that I talk about in my book, Preparing for Your First Muay Thai Fight. It's stuff that I learned the hard way, so that way you don't have to learn the hard way. I got those up on pmtlifestyle.com. You can hit reserve your book. You can get them here at the Ventura Academy, or I can ship it to you. I'm doing some more like custom signatures on them and stuff too. But going back into Sanchai and Kevin Ross, I missed weight. I felt bad. The guy I was fighting and stuff like that, they gave me a hard time about it. I already felt terrible. I think I missed weight once before, like when I was doing like a smoker. Yeah. And we know how to cut weight. I felt terrible about it. Yeah. So, fast forward to the fight. Our friend Takun, who runs Sati Prapa Gym, was like cornering me along with Dan. So I'm like, dude, I have this badass corner, and like, I remember I was warming up, and Takun's like, hey, what's up with your kick?
Dan Maid, right?
Well, yeah, Dan Maid. And then Takun was like, hey, what's up with your kick? I was like, oh, he's like, okay, well, it is what it is. You're just gonna go fight. And this guy I fought was southpaw. This guy named Alec Gonzalez. Dude, he beat the fuck out of me for like 2 rounds, and he started easing off the gas pedal, and I don't know if he was getting tired or whatever it was, but I heard later on from his coach that he actually broke his hand on my head.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was cross.
Yeah.
That's how hard he was hitting me.
Yeah.
So, and there's a picture of me, and I just have like 2 black eyes, like 2 mouths under my eyes, like low kicking. I just look like shit. You know, it's just like, ugh. Like, you talk about a rough night in the ring at work. Rough night at work. Yeah. So, where's my shorts you were sending me? Christian, I don't have your size yet. The coronavirus got involved with it, man. So, once you get more, I didn't forget about you. But thanks for the reminder, man. Once, I had a rough day, but 3rd round I started picking up a little bit. I started waking up and like getting a little more comfortable. Like the nerves went away. I got dropped like twice, and I just kept getting back up. I'm like, I'm not giving up. I don't really remember much in between rounds either. So
it sounds like I hit pretty hard. So.
Yeah, and I was dehydrated on top of it, which is like helps inhibits that. But needless to say, is I lost, and it sucked because I was supposed to do better in that fight, but I didn't have.
You broke his hand. With your head.
Yeah, don't practice the technique of blocking punches with your head, guys. It doesn't work that well in your favor, and you might lose some. You might become a little bit brain stupid.
He gave you a
brain
hand.
Dead.
He gave you a hand.
Yeah, he gave me a hand at making sure I lost some brain cells. But shout out to Alec Gonzalez, super cool guy. The guy I was training at the time was Rod McIver from Team Victory Muay Thai. Super cool people. So shout out to them. Down there in Inglewood. Actually, they're in Studio City now. Used to be Inglewood.
So back to it.
Yeah, back to it. I went back to my hotel room. I was fucking pissed. I cried. I was just frustrated because I let myself down. I was like, dude, I could have done so much better at the time. So much better. Just...
Did you not come back from that and do 100% better next time?
Well, first we'll get into that because, again, I was driving down to Knockweeds and stuff. So what ended up happening was my friends gave me this edible, like an edible chocolate bar, and I'm like, how much should I eat? He's like, oh, the whole thing. So after the fight, Coach Todd was there, Coach Martha was at the fights and stuff too. I went back down after I had my I fucking suck conversation with myself. I'm joining Double Dose soon. Your contract from my old academy just ended. Hey, Christian, I see you're going to be training with Kru Brian Dobler and Robert. Awesome. Definitely, yeah, they're awesome people, man. Tell them I said hi, and you're going to enjoy training with those guys. Definitely a quality Muay Thai academy down there in Fontana. And a beautiful facility, too. Those guys kick ass. But tell Kru Brian Dobler I said hello. So they gave me this edible, and I was like, man, how much should I eat? After we watched the fights and stuff like that, came back, and he's like, oh, you eat the whole thing. He's somebody that smoked all the time. I hadn't smoked weed in I don't know how long. Man, I was stoned for 4.5 days.
Oh, I had one of those.
Yeah, where you just wake up and you're just still oh, I'm still.
Am I dying?
Yeah. And then you fall asleep, and normally you wake up and you're fine. No, I woke back up and I'm still high.
I know the drill.
So, not only did I have severe head trauma and dehydration,
brain damage,
and had this big loss, this big low in my career at the time, where I felt like was a low. The gym's by my house, a 5-minute drive. That's awesome, Christian.
Lucky you.
Yeah, we'll take a little break here too, guys. Definitely, tag some people in here. That if you guys are in on the live stream, tag some people, get some people in here. Would love to see more and more folks join in on the podcast. Don't forget, we're on iTunes and on Spotify, guys. So I took that, and it just made me more low.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it made me more low because I was just so messed up.
Yeah.
I went back down to the gym a couple times and taught a little bit. And I was carpooling with our friend that gave this to me. His name was Kevin. He's the guy I was carpooling with. Yeah. And he was training with Roy one-on-one at the time. And, he was like, hey, I'm going to be having a fight. And he's like, can you help me out? Yeah, I can help you out. I'll make sure you, I don't step on my friend's toes because his client and stuff like that. But what ended up happening is I went down there. I helped him out before a class that I was teaching. And I guess... I don't know if he was supposed to have a private lesson with our friend or something like that at the time. But I guess it came across as me trying to snake his client, which I wasn't trying to do because like I didn't need the money at the time. It was more just like, hey, it's our friend, and he was asking me to hold pads for him for a couple rounds. But like literally the next day, my phone broke. All right, and so I'm having this low and everything like that. My phone's broken for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I can't remember how long it was. Smarty Cop Natalie, welcome. What ended up happening was, I had, I finally got my phone turned on. I turned it on. I had like a bunch of text messages from my friend. And it was like, dude, like, I was like, shit's not okay. And I was already very depressed. And it just, dude, it felt like a knife stabbed me in the stomach. I'm sure that's how he felt too. And I just, at the time I was young, I just ignored it. I was just like, oh, well, I guess I'm not going back down there right now. And it created a rift. And I'm kind of like, it sucks, I eventually faced that, along with like talking to the gym owners, like Knockweed and his wife at the time, his ex-wife, and kind of patching that up. But man, it took a lot. It took me like a good 3 months. I went through like 3 months of like just being straight up depressed.
Is that depressed or is that just sad because like you ate a shit sandwich?
No, it put me on such a low, and then I had more of a low because other people that were around my friend at the time thought that about me. They thought I was trying to steal my friend's client. And it was like remember the lack of community before? It felt like any community I had was just completely non-existent. I'm not able to train up in Ventura County anymore. I didn't have anybody to train with. And I was just like, shit, I made the wrong decision by moving back to Ventura. That was my thought at the time. So it was like this gravity of the whole situation kind of just hitting me. It's like I pissed off my friends. I pissed off my instructor and his now ex-wife. I pissed all these other people off, and I lost. I got my ass kicked on stream. We had a bunch of our family friends saying they were going to, quote-unquote, help me at the time for fighting that never even fought before. So, of course, everybody has an opinion when they're not helping you train, right? So, hey, Yukari, what's up?
Went to dinner there yesterday.
You guys went to Go Tattoo? If you guys are on here and you're in Ventura, go to Go Tattoo. They're right here on Main Street next to the Academy. Some awesome yakitori, Japanese yakitori. They do have vegan options too. There's a lot of good vegetables and stuff like that. Veggie skewers. Oh yeah, no, they have a lot of other good meat options and stuff too.
Great stuff.
So, like I said, totally got my ass kicked, and it fucked with me because I had all these people saying like, maybe you shouldn't be fighting, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Our dad at times like, if you're gonna do it, you need to approach it this way, and it's like, man, like, well, if all these people have this opinion, well, where the fuck were they when I needed help? Nowhere, and it just made me feel like maybe I'm just not meant to do this right now. I'm not meant to fight right now. So I didn't know. I had like, it was on such a low. It was like one thing after another just kept coming in.
Can I just say the one thing about friends? I had to interject about your friend thinking the worst in you or thinking that you're trying to snake a client. That's what I constantly say. Hey, have friends that are always looking for the best in you. I know your wife said that recently. She noticed that constantly looking for the best in people. I'm going to assume you're meaning well, intention.
Yes.
Really important to have people around.
I want to say at the time that person had somebody else in their ear. And it wasn't that person. It was the person that was in their ear.
I figured that.
And I'm not going to name names on them. But much love to my friend. If you're listening to this, you know who you are.
Yeah.
Love you, man.
Same.
But it ended up, I felt terrible about it because I'm like, dude, last thing I want to do is fuck with my friend's finances.
For sure.
And I didn't know how to fix it at the time. I was bad with confrontation.
Yeah.
That was something I developed out of that.
Nonviolent communication.
Or it could have been violent. He could have beat my ass, whatever. Like, I would have been cool with whatever would fix that situation, you know?
That book.
Yeah, the Nonviolent Communication is a good book, exactly. So I ended up, patching that back up, and I was up here in Ventura. I connected with a boxing trainer who's up here named Haas. He runs Knuckleheads Boxing. I was like, hey, Haas, would I be able to use your ring and maybe hold some pads for people, do one-on-ones? Like, I can pay you for it. He's like, oh, you don't need to pay me anything. He's like, if you just come in and work with some of the guys, some of the MMA guys every once in a while, like, we'll call it, that'll be fine. I was like, oh.
That's awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah. So shout out to Coach Haas over at Knuckleheads Boxing. We donated one of the bag stands to them for their youth program and stuff, too. Sweet. So, super cool guy. He was one of the few people that congratulated us on, like, when we first opened. Mm. So he let me use the boxing gym when I first came back, and I was training some people there. Me and Coach Todd trained there. At the time, There's oh man, what's his name? Joseph Henley. He's a black belt over at Fabio's place now, but he's an MMA fighter. He's fighting then. There's a couple other people. I want to say I don't think I ever trained Jesse Newell at that time, but Tony Ferguson was there. I trained with Tony at Fred's gym before when Tony was fighting out of there.
Yeah.
And so Tony was like, "Hey, dude, hold pads for me." So I held pads for him, a little bit back then too, even more than I did before. That was fun. I want to say I'm not sure if I trained Chris Beal then. I don't know if he was training MMA at the time. But there's some of the people on there. Look who's here. Don David, 90.
What up, Mr. Chavez?
Mr. David Chavez. So what I ended up doing was just going over there as much as I could. And then this whole thing happened, and I lost touch with everybody. And, I remember Haas texted me, hey, long time no communicate, man. Everything good? And it's I didn't even fucking respond.
Oh, wow.
I felt so bad. So next thing you know, we're at, I'm at mom's house. I moved back in there and everything, and I get my friend Travis, who's living here, Travis Petralba.
Yeah.
Is over at the Mango Tree. He's like, hey, my trainer over here just opened up a gym over on the avenue. They just expanded. He's like, he wants to meet you. So I said, oh, cool. It was something along the lines of that. So I went over there, and I was gonna be helping him out with just some of the classes. He's like, hey, maybe teach a white crew class, beginners or something like that twice a week. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, sure, anything you can, because it was on the avenue, where we grew up. So I was all about hell yeah, badass Muay Thai gym on the avenue. They had a full size twins boxing ring, which we have now. Yep. We have that in our possession.
Yep.
And full, this really nice facility. It was just starting. And I did whatever I could to help at the time. I didn't know jack shit about business. In retrospect, I could have done a lot more now with the tools I have now. But I was doing what I could to help him out at the time. And he was older and he had a lot on his plate too. The trainer there, and I really wish I could have done that all a lot different too. So as soon as I started training there, I remember I got a call on it. The area code on my cell phone said Florida. Who the fuck's calling me from Florida? And so I pick it up, and it's my friend David Huerta. He's like, hey, Pu'u, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm hanging out at home. Why, what's up? He's like, hey, I'm at this business seminar in Florida, and there's a guy that's in Ventura I think you should train with. And he's like, his name's Fabio. He has a jiu-jitsu place. You should go teach him. I'm like, hey, I'd love to, but I'm already teaching for this other place. Yeah. Well, I'll go say hi to him since you're plugging him in. So it's with these business things, they do these masterminds. That was probably a thing. It was hey, we want to do this program. How do we do it? And David was probably I know just the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll call him. Yeah. So I went over and said hi to them. Hey, I'm working with this other person. They said, hey, anything ever changes, let us know. I continued over at the gym on the avenue for a bit, where I met the Don David, 90. Actually, I met him at West Coast.
Yeah.
Him and his brother Isaac. Yep. But we were back there training together, and that's where we started training more and more together. Once I was there, things financially, things just started snowballing for me, really bad. And I remember talking to Rob Havasi. He's like, dude, you need to.
I remember that conversation.
He's like, you need to open your own gym.
I was there.
Yeah,
he was high as a kite.
Yeah, he was super stoned.
But he had a great idea.
He did.
Great series ideas.
Yeah, if you guys don't know Rob Havasi, this guy's creative and he's an artist. Super grateful for him. I call him Uncle Rob because of his conversations. Very frank about things. Just say things how they are. He's like, hey, you should open your own Muay Thai gym. I was like, oh, I'm not doing that until I'm way older. Until I'm done fighting. I'm retired, in my late 30s, early 40s. He's like, dude, I think that's a stupid mistake. You should do it now.
Yeah.
And for me, bro, I don't even know how I was gonna do it.
Yeah, exactly. But he had the imagination. He's one of those people that'll never be probably financially compensated the amount he gives back to the world.
Mm-hmm. But I remember just thinking, I don't know how to start a gym. I don't want to start a gym. I don't want that burden.
Even I was like, wait, how's this going to happen right now? I couldn't even picture it, really. But when he said it, I was like, huh. Well, Rob sounds like he could really see it clearly in his head.
Well, it was funny, too, is Don David, also said, hey, you should, you're going to have your own Muay Thai gym one day. Coach Steve, who started training there, you're going to be a really good instructor one day. You're going to make a good coach. And now Coach Steve is here, coaches with us too, and it's pretty. It's it came around full circle that way. Yep. But And a couple other people did too. Like even Carlos is like, dude, you should start your own gym. And I'm like, I don't want to focus on that right now. I want to focus on just like me fighting. So, Rob was like, hey, dude, you should go hit up that Gracie gym, see if you can teach at both places. So I went over to the Gracie gym, and they were closed. I put a note through the door, and it's like, hey, I put it out there, and I got a call like, I don't know, like a few days later, and they asked me to come in, and it's like, hey, this is like weird timing because I just hired somebody to teach the Muay Thai program.
Yeah.
But maybe you can come in and like tell me how you think of the classes and stuff like that, and maybe we'll find a place for you. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come check out the classes. And that's where I met Kru Mark from Guild Muay Thai.
Oh, sweet.
So he was the instructor they hired. Yeah. And this is when I first met him. And he's a super cool guy, and he's super chill. And I think he was like, I don't know if he was doing training, so that way he would be able to train jiu-jitsu at the time. And I took the class. I was like, hey, it's a good class. Like, and Fabio asked me, I'm like, hey, it was good. Like, I think you'd be a good instructor. And then, like, I thought about it. I'm like, man, like, I would do a really good job if I worked there. Like, maybe me and Mark end up working together. And, they asked me, like, hey, let's talk more about it. Like, tomorrow, can you come in? And we'll maybe talk about getting a schedule for you. So I came in. Hey, what's up, Mr. Sosnicki? Welcome, man. Good to see you. He's like, hey, come in. We'll talk, and we'll see if you can figure something out. And so they came in, and they were like, hey, so what'd you think of Mark's class? And I'm like, hey, it's really, really good class. And I thought about how I was going to word this because I don't, like, it never sounds good when you go say, like, when you're trying to compete for a job to talk, like, hey, I'm better than this other person. Yeah. I didn't think I was better than this other person. I just thought my structure was going to be more what, like, they were looking for at the time. Because Mark's a great instructor and a great coach. He's made some good fighters, especially, like, MMA-style stuff, too. So I think he would have been a really good fit there. And I was like, hey, honestly, like, if you're looking for Muay Thai, like, I think I could do a better job. Like, I feel like I could do a better job, like, for what you need. And so they're like, okay, well, we just hired him, so we're going to keep him. I'm like, yeah, totally, I understand. Like, you just asked my honest opinion. I'm gonna tell you. And shout out to Kru Mark, by the way. He bought a few of his books for his instructors up there, up in Seattle. But going back into that, they're like, hey, well, we'll add on these 2 morning classes for you, 9 a.m. on, like, Tuesday, Thursday. I guess it used to be a jiu-jitsu class. So I show up on that Tuesday to go teach the class, and it's one guy, he's like, oh, it's not jiu-jitsu today? I'm like, no, it's Muay Thai today, first time, like, new class. He's like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm like, well, come on, man, let's just train. Like, it's very encouraging and get him to train. And, like, once I was done, he's like, hey, come in here real quick. They're like, hey, like, all right, just judging by the way you're talking with that student, we want you to take over all the classes. I'm like, well, what about Mark? Like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, he'll be fine with it. And I was like, okay. Like, I didn't know what the situation was, but it was very Brazilian, I guess. Yeah. So
you're working with one person that wasn't even in for that martial art, and you're able to still, with enthusiasm, bridge that gap somehow.
Yeah. So and they're just like, I think they saw like, hey, we could probably coach this guy to be a good instructor.
Yeah.
So, or like to be able to teach how we want him to teach. I don't know what their idea was of them. All respect to them, Marumbi guys, super cool academy. But I ended up teaching there full time. We had some awesome students from there. I had the opportunity to hold pads for like Rafael dos Anjos while training there. Former 155-pound UFC champion. This is when he was first coming back, returning from fighting. It's funny with a professor down there, Hanan. He's like, "Hey, Coach Jonathan, can you train my friend Rafa?" I'm like, "Who?" I wasn't familiar with Portuguese. Rafael. I'm like, yeah, I could train your friend Rafa. So I see this guy. This guy looks like a fridge, man. He's like, yeah, he's a fighter. He had like the cauliflower ears. I didn't follow UFC much, especially at that time.
Same.
Like a little bit, but it was people that I knew, like Tony and these other people that were fighting MMA.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I can hold pads for them. And I was talking to them, and I remember like.
What's up, fucking Jesse?
Hey, Mr. Estrella. What's up, man? So he's like, hey, you call pads for Rafa. I'm like, okay. And I asked this guy, I'm like, hey, Professor Anand said you're a fighter? He's like, yeah. Like, well, when was your last fight? He's like, well, when George St. Pierre fought in Canada? It was like the first MMA fight in Canada. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, it was the co-main event. I was like, And that I was like, I should know who you are. Dumb.
I'm kind of a big deal. I've got a very nice apartment, a lot of leather bound books. My apartment smells of rich mahogany. That kind of deal.
Yeah, well, he's very humble guy. He was fighting for Team Evolve at the time, Evolve MMA, which is now huge, but then was very small. But he was fighting for Team Evolve at the time with Chatri. If you guys don't know, Chatri Yatong, Sit Yatong, he's the CEO of ONE FC. So Evolve is owned by him. And at that time, that's Rafael Dos Anjos was on Team Evolve. I don't think he still is. Otherwise, he'd probably be on ONE FC. Maybe he ends up moving over there. I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me, actually. I just thought about that. Calling it now. If he's not over there, I'm going to call that Rafael Dos Anjos is going to end up fighting on ONE FC if he's still fighting. You guys heard it here first. But going, just because they had a business relationship, I got trained, local MMA standout Jesse Newell, our old friend from like when we were growing up and everything too, grade school over on the Avenue. Got to corner him for a couple of his fights, along with like Fabio and Coach Haas. That was Osman's first fight. We cornered. He won first round, or second round knockout, I think, or first round knockout. He just stepped off. Boom! He's southpaw. So he slipped across. Boom! Came straight over the top. Just slept this guy. And then his next fight was against what's his name? Chris Coley. That's who it is. Chris Coley. He fought against Chris Coley, 145 pounds for the Bama national title. I want to say that one was broadcast on TV, I think, or the internet. I can't remember. But that one is at Commerce Casino, where I fought on the Sanchez card. So, Commerce Casino's got a lot of fight history for me.
For sure.
I fought there so many times. I've cornered people there, for promotions there, so much. So, Jesse fought against Chris Coley it's supposed to be a 5-round title fight, but me and Coach Haas decided to stop it after the 4th round, during the 4th round, going into it. Or it was in between the 4th and the 5th. That's what it was. And I remember we both looked at each other. I'm like, Coach Haas, what do you think? He's like, I'm thinking we should stop it. I'm like, I agree with you. And we're like, hey, let's give him one more round. And we let Fabio talk to him because it's like, hey, if he's going to win this, it's going to be jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So, sure enough, Jesse gets a fucking knee bar. From on the ground. Gets a knee bar. But and it was like, oh shit, it's over. It's going to be over. Too much sweat because it's too late in the rounds. He was able to slip out. And Chris afterwards was like, dude, I about shit myself when I got caught with that. He's like, I was like, no. Yeah. I remember him talking about that in interviews. Like, dude, I shit myself when that happened. And even us too, I was like, oh shit, Jesse did it. But he slipped out of it, and we ended up calling it because we're like, hey, we know you want to go out in your shield, man, but let's save it. Even then, his legs were messed up from just he didn't do a lot of wrestling drills for that one, I remember, and he ended up wrestling him for 45 minutes, or however long the fight, 4 rounds is 20 minutes straight, essentially, because they're 5-minute rounds. And it messed up his whole posterior chain, and he couldn't walk right for a month and a half, maybe 2 months. So just from that.
Yeah, downsides of,
fighting.
Yeah,
and people don't see that. Yeah, people don't see that.
Gotta sacrifice. It's crazy how much you end up sacrificing.
Yeah, I love that guy. Jesse is a really good fighter, man. Really good training partner, too.
I just knew him as a wrestler growing up. That was his thing growing up. Just wrestle. Yeah. Let's wrestle.
So, I was over there teaching over there, and, my position kept growing there, with more responsibilities and stuff, and, for me, I was just like, man, do I really want to go down the instructor rabbit hole right now? And, I really felt like they needed somebody who could do more. And I felt like I wasn't going to be good for that position that they were looking for. I'm like, hey, I keep saying no to you more and more. So, you need somebody that's going to say yes to this stuff. In order for them to grow. I know, I'm your roadblock right now, for some of this stuff. And so I gave him my resignation and ended up parting ways with them. And then, my whole intention was to focus on fighting. I was like, hey, I started going down to North Hollywood again, started training with Dan.
We're just opening up his new place.
Yeah, made martial arts. Dude, I gotta get Dan on here.
Yeah, for sure.
I gotta get Dan on here.
Of all the people you gotta get on?
Yeah, Dan, if you guys didn't know, Dan Mayed, he was my pad holder along with Knockweed. He was my corner guy, all that good stuff. Shout out to Mayed Martial Arts. Go check them out. They're opening up. They were supposed to open up first week of April 2019, or sorry, 2020.
Yeah.
And we know the coronavirus shut down and everything like that. But they're still like struggling to open up. They haven't opened up officially. So what ended up happening was, I lost my train of thought.
We're talking about you're just coming off of Gracie.
Oh yeah, so I left over there, and Naku's like, hey, I got a fight for you, opportunity for you in Mexico City, and like I talked with Dan, and we're gonna have what's his name? Travis Garlitz was gonna go down to Mexico City with me, another pro fighter. Not mean name drop. That's just who was around then. So Travis was gonna go down to Mexico City with me, go corner me, and so I was training. I was probably about, I think it was like 3 weeks out from fighting Mexico City. Plane tickets bought, passport, everything, hotel, everything's all booked to go fight down in Mexico City. And on a big card, and I was super stoked. I'm like, hell yeah, I get to go back and fight. Like, stoked, this is happening. I was doing my programming stuff, like website consulting, social media stuff, my social media agency I ran by myself at that time. And I my ex-girlfriend at the time, I was like, hey, you can borrow my van, 'cause the probe started shitting on me, the Ford Probe.
Oh, yeah.
My brother had this Ford Probe. Before that, my dad had it. I drove the shit, I drove that thing to pieces, and it started shitting out on me. I wouldn't pass smog. What was it? I remember it was the clutch master cylinder. That's what it was. It kept dropping down to the floor. The clutch kept dropping to the floor.
I did $250,000 on there.
So I dropped my ex off at work, and I'm driving back to our house to go pick up my equipment to go drive down to the valley and go train. So I'm on Victoria, just waiting at a stoplight right by Boina. Next thing you know, boom! I just get fucking rear-ended. Like,
in the probe, right?
No, I was in the van.
Oh.
I was in the van when that happened.
You're probably just lucky that you're in the van.
It probably would have been a lot worse,
Yeah.
had it not been. So I just totally get fucking rear-ended. And at the time, too, I was teaching out of our mom's boyfriend's house. He made like a home dojo for me to be able to like just do one-on-one training in with some of the people who are like, hey, I really still want to train with you. I'm like, hey, I'm doing one-on-ones, or I'll do small group privates. I wasn't like marketing for it or anything like that.
Grassroots.
Yeah, just doing it. Just like I wanted to be able to train while I was up here, hit the bag, spar with some people, and I got the insurance for it and stuff, and I just did it that way. So I was doing that at the time, maybe for like a month max. Like I helped him sand off the room and seal everything and just bolt everything down, get the mats. He was really awesome. He bought mats and stuff for me to be able to use. He's a martial artist too, and he's like, I want to be able to go back to practicing karate and do my forms. So it was like, it worked out for him also. And but needless to say, I was driving my car, boom, I get fucking rear-ended. And I just remember thinking like, I remember like it just like everything went in slow mo. Like get hit, it's like boom. Hey, what's up, Mr. Lang? Total slow mo, just sink back into my seat, like in the car. I just remember it's like, I remember just instantly I felt like a pinch in my back. I felt like a pop.
I will be back.
Okay, man.
All right, Arnold.
I'll be back. So totally just sank back in my seat. I remember feeling something pop. I'm like, oh man, like that fucking sucked. What was that? Oh, and I just looked in the rearview mirror and I just see this old lady just peeking over, just like this with these big old like glasses on, like shaky. I'm like, oh no. I just got rear-ended by an old lady. Driving like a Chrysler or something like that. So, I'm able to pull over, and I go to get out. I'm like, oh fuck, I can't really walk. Like this shit hurts. So I get out. I get out and like scoot down like on my butt, like onto the seat of the van, and someone comes over. They're like, you okay? I'm like, I think I am. And they go check on her. And I'm trying to walk, can't walk, so I'm like, fuck, dude, I need to get out of the street. So I crawl over to, like, the grass on the side, like, next to the sidewalk. And I'm sitting there, and the guy's like, dude, just lay down.
Yeah.
Like, you just got hit fucking hard. Just lay down. And I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, all right, I'll just lay down. He's like, yeah, ambulance is on the way. And then I was sitting there, the ambulance is like, hey, like, can you feel this? I'm like, dude, it hurts to raise my arms. I couldn't like, raise my arms past here.
Yeah.
Because I'll get into a little bit later the injury stuff that happened, but I just remember thinking like, fuck.
It was a long recovery.
Yeah, well, this is after coming through all that depression crap too.
Yeah, you got away with shit.
And then I got hit, and I just remember I'm like, oh man, and like it just hit me like, dude, I'm probably not gonna be able to fight in a few weeks. like I'm fucked.
Yeah,
I just started crying because it's just like, dude, like I put so much into this.
That's why, as a martial arts, and for me at least, as a Stoic practitioner too, things you have control over, things you don't.
Yeah, at the time though, just that sucked.
Yeah.
You just say, fuck, this sucks.
Yeah.
You know, this sucks. I just got hit. I was just on my way, and I was literally at a stoplight, and I was stopped there for at least 10, 15 seconds, and boom, the lady said she didn't see traffic stop. So I was driving a big green van, like you probably shouldn't be
Blue,
driving,
right?
or blue, whatever
sky,
color.
right?
So, you know,
She just thought it was the sky, bro. She said how old.
she said she didn't know traffic had stopped,
Yeah.
and there was a red light.
I got hit by old lady too.
Yeah. Oh, on your motorcycle. That's
Yeah.
right. So got taken to the hospital and was having back spasms, all that stuff. Ended up, you know, I couldn't even sit up to like do computer work. I couldn't have sex. You know, it was like instantly. First thing I did is I went in and I got like bags of ice. Started doing fucking ice baths. Started treating it like I just got in a rough fight, essentially, and just did everything I could to try to recover from it.
Yeah.
Our dad came over at the time, and you and Mom were working a lot. I think at Visual at the time.
Was that?
Yeah, it was.
Gotcha.
It was. So,
yeah, that's
but
right.
our dad came over and was helping me out, and he would drive me over. Sorry, guys.
Shut up.
No, yeah, sorry, I had podcast
They
time.
just told us shut up. Shut up.
Shh, hey, let's see if I can turn this down. All right, so I'll let that ring through, but oh my God, can I turn it off? There we go. There we go. All right, so once I got into you know, I got into rehab. I met Dr. Tudor Marinescu. He ended up being he's like osteopath, and he understood martial arts. I got him, a chiropractor, and a yoga therapist. And they're all working together to like make me better. So Dr. Tudor worked for the Romanian Olympic ski team for like injury recovery and rehab. So for me, I wanted the best because I'm like, dude, I'm in the peak of my career, like about to go in the peak of my career, like 24 years old. And I just got my back fucked up.
You just got your shit pushed in.
Yeah. And so, for me, they like, when we went to, like, when I was in the hospital, like, I was pushing, like, dude, like, you need to give me an MRI. You need to give me an MRI. No, we're not going to give you an MRI. No, we're not going to give you an MRI. I'm like, dude, you need to give me a fucking MRI. And they're like, oh, we'll do X-ray. I'm like, no, you're not going to see shit.
Yeah.
They're like, well, your back looks like might be out of line, but we can't tell what's going on there. You need an MRI. I'm like, yeah, I know, I need a fucking MRI. And they wouldn't give me an MRI.
That's how bad our
I even went as far, like, when I was in there, I can't remember. I might even just be like, oh, my head hurts. You know, like, just to get it in. Just to get it, because when they say your head hurts, they'll more likely to go give you an MRI.
The medical system's terrible.
So they just wouldn't do it. I'm like, dude, this lady is going like 40, 45 miles per hour and just hit me. Like, think I need to get a fucking MRI. So I go to Dr. Tudor, and he's like, dude, he's like, you most likely have a herniated disc. Like, you have, like, I'm like 99.9% sure you have a herniated disc from what you're telling me. I couldn't raise my arms, like, past here, and I couldn't walk. You know, my ex at the time was calling me Shuffles because I would shuffle around the house. Yeah, dude, it was a funny name.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's like, oh, Shuffles. I'm like, fuck, don't make fun of me right now. I'm depressed.
I would have done that too.
I got so depressed. Well, I mean, when you think about it, it's like a coping mechanism. Yeah. We just moved in together, and all of a sudden I'm like, I can't make money.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck on my back all day.
Yeah.
And can't have sex. It's like, what good am I? Fuck.
Well, so for the moment, you're good for a paperweight, an expensive paperweight.
Yeah. But that's kind of like I went through this whole rehab process, and the person's insurance, they had full comprehensive insurance, and they said that they wouldn't cover my treatment. They wanted me to go to one rehab. I'm like, no, I'm going to the best. Like, fuck you. Yeah. Like, I need to go see the best people. I'm in the peak of my career. You need to make it so that way you're supposed to be where you're at or better than when you got hit. That's how insurance is supposed to be.
For any of you guys watching who don't understand that you need somebody to be a medical advocate for you, and literally a period of time you have to say, no, fuck that, this is what we're doing, and consult with other people, that's what you have to do these days. It is really bad.
Yeah, so what I ended up doing was I consulted with them, and I was pretty much doing like 4 days of therapy a week. It would be like 2 yoga sessions, one with a chiropractor. He was doing the electrostim therapy for my back, And
What
then
kind of yoga sessions were you doing?
it was with Sabine. She
Yeah.
was having me stretch, and she was doing massage to help get the muscles to stop spasming
Yeah.
and help stretch them back out. And then Dr. Tudor was doing like myofascial release stuff with me, and talking with the chiropractor and with the yoga therapist about what I need to do. So I'll see the osteopath once a week. I'll see the yoga therapist twice a week. Oh, why'd my live end? Sorry, we'll get this back on here.
Good. Maybe max out on length.
Yeah, maybe, huh? Oh, okay. I downloaded it, so I'll download it again, saved.
Cool.
Okay, so we'll get back onto here in just a second. Okay, get back on here again. Hey guys, so sorry about that. We'll get back on. Sorry, our live ended. I guess we must have hit the max on it. But once I got onto that therapy stuff, like I started like getting a little bit better, week by week, a little bit of progress. After I think like 3 or 4 weeks, I stopped shuffling around. I was able to like take more strides. I had the yoga therapist, I had osteopath and chiropractor, and it would allow me to start working. They had to like reprogram how I was moving my body because like everything was all fucked up.
Yeah.
Sabine went over like my foot strengthening exercises, which I still do, and because they're like, hey, this is key. You have flat feet. You're gonna re-injure yourself. Your back injury you have is gonna be triggered if you don't fix that now. Like in a couple years, you're gonna start having issues with it, and I do. If I don't keep up with my exercises on that, that's how important those are. Like your knee strengthening, leg strengthening, and just stretching. And everybody always talks shit when I do like those hip movements and stuff, but they're really important, especially for me because I have the nerve stuff that's going on in my back. Go on about 3 months of like just intense rehab. I want to say everybody like.
I remember because I dropped you off sometimes.
Yeah, no, it was like 5 months of intense rehab.
Yeah.
5 months of intense rehab from like August, because that's when it was August. I think it was August 21st or 17th or something like that.
Yeah.
I ended up coming back, and I like I said, I hurt my back, and I still had like those classes that were going on, but I wasn't teaching them. I wasn't able to train anybody. I was very careful about it. I had our student Colin Austria at the time, who's moving back. Colin, if you're out there and you listen to this, shout out to you, man. Looking forward to you being back in California. He was like, hey, like I can help you train these guys. I'll just show up. You just tell us what to do. And that's what I did. I would just lay down, and I would lay down coaching. Like, hey, do this, do this. If he wasn't there, I would just do the same thing. And it sucked, but like I was very grateful. Like Jason Flynn and his wife, Samantha, they were some of the people that were training with me at the time. Joey Zendejas.
Yeah.
Natalie. There are people who were all training with me during that time.
Yeah, you're like day 0 people.
Yep. So, after that, like, as I was going through rehab, I ended up, once I was able to start, I got cleared to like teach and be on my feet, not so much training. That's when I looked at subleasing like a studio. That's when we started. I was like, hey man, like anybody out there, put it on Facebook. Facebook was really big then. With like everybody, even younger people. It's like, hey, does anybody out there know anybody that's subleasing space in the Ventura County area?
It was a great platform back then.
Yeah. And Jason Flynn's like, hey, my cousin's subleasing a dance studio. She just started like her business in. So I was like, went over there, talked to her. I'm like, this is perfect.
In the Osnar?
Yeah, Julio from Sixon, he was like, dude, start it, do it, bro.
That's
fucking
awesome.
proud of you. Like, go. Another young academy owner, along with his family. But he was super encouraging about it. I said, do it, man, do it. So I found a place to sublease, worked out like hourly rate, went through some marketing stuff that I learned while I was working at the jiu-jitsu place. I knew how to do all the web design stuff, so I started marketing it. And, I like as we were going through, I think it was January or it's like January. I think it was like the end of January. I was training and Nakri came up. He's like, hey, are you cleared to fight yet? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I just like I got cleared to like start training again. So yeah. I talked to the osteopath. I'm like, hey, like, when do you think I should? He's like, you need to be where you're at, either like at or beyond where you're at when you had your injury. He's like, so you're 3 weeks out from a fight, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, that's a few weeks away. He's like, why don't you do it? We'll manage your care to make sure you're good and you didn't swing the pendulum too far. If you do, you're not going to be able to fight. I told Knockweed, and he's like, hey, well, let's do it then. So I trained for my butt off for 2 weeks after not training for 6-7 months, and had a substantial nerve injury in my back with my disc. And trained for 3 weeks. I went down there, and that's when Christian Hernandez came with me at the time too. And we showed up down there, and Knockweed's like, oh, it's just big sparring, don't worry about it. Man, like, they had me sign this paper and everything. I'm like, oh, it's I was like, hey, is there elbow pads or anything? Like, no. I'm like, can we elbow? And they're like, yeah, you can elbow. I'm like, fuck, okay. A pro fight. Get thrown in the deep end right away. So I was like, all right, fuck it, whatever, let's do it. I cornered Christian, he won. I taped up his hands, taped up my hands. And like me and my friend Remy, who made our logo for the Pu'u Muay Thai, we both cornered him. And then we took off Christian's gloves, put them on me, put some liniment on me real quick by the side of the ring, put the Hong Kong on, and I got in the ring. So that one, I was doing really good. I stuck to Knockweed's game plan at the time. About a week prior, my shoulder gave out. I couldn't throw my jab. I almost mentally fucked myself. My friend Boren, the one who snapped his arm fighting Sanchai, gave me some mental coaching at the time. He's like, dude, just say it. He used some affirmation stuff on me. He's like, no, you can do this. Say it.
That's so important.
I remember being in the probe, just talking to him because I didn't want to wake up my ex and her brother at the time. He's like, you just say it. You can do it. I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Just say it. You can do it. I can do this. I can do this.
He's a good friend.
Yeah, and I remember feeling like shit, dude. I feel better. He's like, do you feel better? I'm like, yeah.
Dude, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
And well, I came to find out he used those affirmations when he was fighting a lot.
Oh, of course.
And which is why he's successful too. So it's just like, hey, I can do this. And he's like, you're going to do it, man.
Tired.
Yeah, I don't get tired. But of course, I couldn't throw my jab still. I knew that. So, which sucked because I needed to be able to use it because I was a little bit taller. I couldn't do anything.
Oh, shit.
I couldn't do this. I couldn't put my arms straight out. I couldn't turn. All I could about do is this for kicking. So Knockweed's like, hey, just throw a lot of left kick. So this guy I was fighting had 40 plus pro fights. Jesus. This is my second one.
Yeah, that's.
And I just was like, okay, whatever, I'll do it. And I just started left kicking the shit out of him as much as I could. I kicked him as hard as I could. If you guys know me, that's I can kick fucking hard. Bare shin, whack, right off the bat. And I think I looked at the video and we counted something 25 times where I kicked him as hard as I could. And I leg kicked him once with my right side. So he was smarter. He went in and he caught me with the elbow on the top of the head. And towards the end of the first round, I got up and the referee says to me in English, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And then he starts speaking Spanish to me. I'm like, "I'm okay. I'm okay."
Was that in Mexico?
Yeah, in Mexico City. I'm like, I'm okay. This is on TV Azteca, too. It was on TV in Mexico.
Yep.
And I was, by the way, not only was it a fight. Oh, what's up, Bobby? Bobby Taylor, 805. What ended up happening was after I got dropped, I got up and he was saying in Spanish, he was saying manos arriba. Thing out there, my dumbass didn't learn Spanish going through high school, so
all we know is puto, poto.
pito, all that stupid stuff. So I was like, I'm okay, and then he waited off. I'm like, what happened? And my friend Remy speaks Spanish, and Christian, of course, speaks Spanish.
Yeah. And
they're like, dude, they were saying, hey, put your hands up to your face. I'm like, what the fuck? I was saying I was okay. And
no hablo español.
Christian, the fight Christian had before was that guy was walking around with his hands at his waist, he didn't want to fight at all. And Christian had to make it so he didn't get up.
Yeah.
So it was very much I feel a little bit political.
Yeah.
So because it was on TV, it's hey, they need to build their fighters and stuff too. But man, I get the fucking short end of the stick when there's some of these international fights. But whatever, fuck it, whatever. Trained 2 weeks. I came off a major back injury. Went out there and I fucking did it. And it sucked because I was like, fuck, man. I was feeling so good and confident on that fight. And I was sticking to the game plan. I got caught. I got back up. the end of the fight, I had a little bump, like just a little bump on the top of my head, because this guy came down, boom, just straight elbow right down the middle.
Moral of that story, you're going to go to Mexico, be able to speak Spanish.
Yes, yes, definitely learn how to speak some Spanish, especially with just the fight-related terms, especially manos arriba, hands up.
Yep.
And the thing is, too, is the round had ended. Like, I would have just went back to my corner.
Yeah.
And I would have had a 2-minute break.
Yep.
So it was like, what the fuck? But anyways,
They got you on a technical.
yeah, it was a main event fight, too. I'm like, when I was looking on there, they're like, Jonathan Pu'u Super Estrella. I'm like, what does Super Estrella mean? And Chris was like, oh, it means main event. I was like, oh. Shit, all right. And all the fight fans were bummed too. They're like, dude, why the fuck did they stop that? Like, even the people that were there in Mexico.
You didn't look dazed. You were
No, like everybody's like, dude, I don't know why they stopped that. They shouldn't have. Like
Politics,
that
probably.
was BS.
Yeah.
So we're walking around. I'll respect Daniel Rico, very strong fighter. He was limping around. He was all welted up. For me, I had a bump in my head. I kicked him once in the leg, and he's limping around. So I would like to play that back. If I get a chance to go to Mexico City and fight Daniel Rico, fuck, I'll do it again.
Just no Spanish next time.
Dude,
Otto.
just fight. Hey, man, this time I have actual training that I have some training record back underneath me. So keep in mind we were training on like about 12 pieces of puzzle mat in the middle of a dance studio in Oxnard on wood floors. We trained from like 8:30 at night until like 12 midnight. I teach my class, and then we would just train with knockweed. And then Saturdays, we do the same thing if we had time. So, like, keep in mind, I had no bags to hit, just pads, and some bodies to clinch with and spar.
Just grit, bare bones, bare minimum.
And nothing else. And then, when I moved back, like, once I came back from that fight, trained one of our first fighters from there, Anthony Wynn, who's going on to be a doctor. He's becoming an osteopath,
Sweet.
Which is good. But, yeah, we ended up coming back, and we kind of came into the next chapter, which is when we ended up here, in this building that we're in right now, in Ventura, right across from the high school. But that's where we're going to leave that story today. But I wanted to show this. This is what I had you bring out of the back. When I was talking about Sanchez fighting Kevin Ross earlier, I have it here on the podcast. So these are the shorts that Sanchez fought Kevin Ross in. See the WBC.
Dancing with Sanchez.
Yeah. So these are, I guess they're a piece of like American Muay Thai history now. When Sanchez fought Kevin Ross, so that's pretty badass. Ajahn Nakwi gave these to me. Is there anything on the back? I can't remember. I think it's like the Yokao, and the Yokao gym and everything like that too. What's up, Scott, the Wizard? So I mean, that's just a little bit of history from that, and it's cool to be able to have that. I had it in a nice glass box. My staff accidentally broke it because me being stupid and not finishing the project left it behind the front desk, and it got broken. So it'll go up again eventually. But I'd like to leave it a little bit, some Q&A here. If anybody's here in chat has any questions about like kind of what I just talked about, because we covered a lot today.
We talked a lot.
What about you? You got any?
A lot. Do I have anything to contribute? Oh yeah, I talked earlier in class today about how nice and clean this place is compared to a lot of academies I've been in, and I was like, some of the most gritty where they have some of the like trippiest fighters. You're like, you train here? Like I got to recently visit the Shack system, which is amazing. They got some really good fighters out there. Kru Rusty. That's just like real simple, like hole in the wall.
Shout out to the Shack system.
Yeah, awesome people. Like some great students. I got to meet Isaac. I got to work with him a couple weeks ago. Super nice people. But yeah, some of the Muay Thai academies generally they're not nice, they're not pretty. This place is almost too nice, but I mean, I might have to get shit here.
Yeah, maybe we gotta dirty it up a little bit, make it smell like feet.
Yeah.
So, I know, but that fills in some of the gaps. I know earlier you were asking me like where I was training.
Yeah.
And like
timeline.
Yeah, the timeline and stuff like that, because there was a lot there that happened, and it was just about going above and beyond to be able to do what I wanted to do. And I had an idea in mind, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. And I had like Nakwi believed in me, of course.
I know he didn't think it was going to happen as fast as it did, though.
With the gym?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the gym thing, this is something, like the academy?
Yeah.
That, like I said, that just ended up kind of manifesting, which we'll get into in the next part, in part 3 of this, because we could be here. It's 5:45 right now.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up here. But I guess, going into finishing up here, with COVID-19 shutdowns. If you guys didn't know, we're still open. I can't say business as usual as of today, July 18th, but we're in business and we're operating. I know there's a lot of other people that are open as well still that aren't technically supposed to be open.
Speakeasy Muay Thai.
Yeah, well, it's like, the main thing is like having we're almost like with the back door open, the front door is open here. It's pretty much an open air scenario, especially with the air being pulled in fresh from the outside into throughout the training floor. We have the ozonator and all that stuff too. It's like and the distancing. We've been doing all bag classes this week and stuff as well. And it's like, come on, man! Like we're doing everything we can. And I'm just gonna I talked about it before, like on the podcast I did one by myself. It's like, hey, like if this doesn't work, like I have to close down.
Yeah.
Because our landlord, like the property manager, says something different than the landlord. Property manager gets a commission. They get a percentage of rents and stuff. So of course they want you to pay full rent. Landlord. So you're getting like some conflicting stories, and you have to understand their perspective. They're renting a building and they have to pay expenses. Like for me, I want to pay them. Not to get too political, but let's just say the city of Ventura, the government here has not done shit for like businesses at all. And just so you know too, I know you heard this. So we close in March. Business tax license renewal is in July. It's by June 30th. It's supposed to be July 1st. Man, they asked me to still pay it. I'm like, how? Like we just opened up last week. We had three months that we paid for that we didn't get to use. Like, well, you still have to pay it. Like, well, you can put a dedeferral and you can pay it later.
They just said, fuck you, pay me.
Yeah. They just said, well, I'm like, well, what are you guys doing? What am I paying for?
Yeah.
And they pretty much had no answer. They said, you have to pay it. And I said, I'll pay you guys in October.
Yeah.
And I'll pay you from October until June. That's what I'm going to pay you. No fees, no fines. And they haven't contacted me back since. But you see a lot of, like, the push. They have, like, the Ventura Visitor Center. And all I'm seeing is promoting alcohol in restaurants.
Consumption.
And downtown. Yeah. Downtown only. I'm seeing they're starting to do some stuff on the East End. Like they do Pete's Breakfast House. Like these like landmark places that attract tourists. Because they're big on the tourist push. But then they're like, hey, these breweries are struggling too. And I don't know how bad they're struggling. I'm sure they are. Yeah. Like everybody is. But it's like, I know one of the breweries, I'm not going to name names. They have like 4 tasting rooms. Yeah. And all throughout Ventura County.
There's like, a hotspot for breweries. Ventura has actually done really well with it.
Yeah, and we get an alcohol tax. You know, so they get a lot. It's like 30% alcohol tax. So I don't blame them for wanting to promote that. But the same thing, the Visit Ventura thing is like, oh, we're all about community. I'm like, well, if you're about community, how about you step the fuck up? Yeah. Yeah, and like actually promote the rest of the community, not just downtown. We have downtown Ventura Bureau, the DVO, that promotes that. Visit Ventura should be all Ventura, you know, and to be able to promote that kind of stuff. Like for me, we were supposed to have some guests here from Norway. I was going to have some other guests come in from Canada to come stay and train down here, stay at Airbnb and train with us and do like specialized training camp for them and be able to go to the beach because this is a good tourist place. Definitely. Like for me, I'm doing like what they promote and they don't want it. They're not helping at all. And we had a lot of people who, you know, didn't like that we stayed open. They just didn't like it. And they, you know.
Let them be offended.
Yeah, and here's the thing, guys. Like, it's not about money. It's not about money for me. Like, I could go teach one-on-one lessons somewhere else and make a lot of money and go do business coaching. I could go work for another place. But that's not what I want to do. Like, we spent so much invested into here. I want to keep this going for people for years to come.
Muay Thai, you mean therapy?
Yes, exactly. Well, that was therapy for me. Like we talked about in part 1, how it was for my anxiety, you know?
100%.
So, going into that, like with the therapy stuff, like, you know, I have you, Coach Giovanni, Coach Ralph, and a couple of other guys helping out coach the classes. I'm not on a set coaching schedule right now. Like, I had some people reach out to me like, hey, like, I don't want to train if you're not there. And, you know, for me, like, I understand where you're coming from, but I also want you to understand that if I put all my eggs into this basket right now and it goes under, it's not going to survive. So let that sink in and know that when you guys say, like, when I'm doing stuff, it's for the betterment of the academy.
Pushing stuff forward.
Yeah, we have to build the team. Yeah. You know, I'm helping Coach Ryan get on his feet. I just have to remember that Coach Ryan quit his day job to be able to run Pu'u Muay Thai Santa Barbara. Yeah. And, you know, for me, I'm trying to help him get started with his stuff. So they're in a sublease location. He was affected way more than we were because of just his financial situation up there. And I'm trying to help him get up on his feet so that way he's not, eating a shit sandwich for that much longer.
Logistics. Anytime people ask, I'm like, hey, my brother's handling logistics.
Yep.
I'm here doing the day-to-day. You got to do logistics.
And that's the thing, too, is like, I want, don't get me wrong, I would love to just be hanging out here all day.
Yeah.
And just teach and have you guys here. I would be loving to do that, but I can't. Like, if I don't focus on stuff like podcasts, if I don't focus on stuff like our merch, our marketing, this push to get new stuff and create additional, and like writing a book, doing the stuff to establish our academy more, we're not going to be able to be open. And it's going to be like, hey, that's great. I spent all my time working the academy, and because of that, we went out of business.
Yeah, make sure you're focusing on the right shit. But of course, a lot of people don't own businesses,
and they don't understand. But that's why I'm sharing that right now, because I really feel like it's very important for people to understand that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not mad at you guys for asking that. Just so you know, I get frustrated at myself because then it makes me question myself. Like, am I making the right decision? And I go back to it. I'm like, yes, I am.
More nasty at yourself, but also make tough decisions.
I've still been in here on the mats.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, guys, come in here, come train with the coaches. I may be here for a class to teach. If I have the energy to come in and teach, then I'll be here. If I don't have the energy to teach, and like I've been bailing out water out of the sinking ship of Pu'u Muay Thai because of COVID, know that you don't want me teaching you. You want Coach Josh, you want Coach Ralph, you want Coach Javon, you want Coach Tomas.
Yeah, literally, I'll just step in at period time and be like, bro, if you need to go handle this thing, I got it. It's come to that, a couple times where I'm like, hey, I hear you. All right, last minute I realized, like, all right, well, I need to be here and you need to get out.
Just because, like, for me, sometimes it's just like I'll start at like 5 a.m. and I'm literally bailing water. I feel like I'm bailing water out of the boat all the way until like my class that I have to teach, and I'm just exhausted at that point, frustrated, and trying to like close these things out. And like I said, if those things don't get finished, then the academy's the academy's gonna go away, and I don't want that to happen. So my goal is to keep it open and keep it going for years to come for you guys.
There's still great demand, providing a great service to people. I mean, I didn't understand how great a service until I saw how people were behaving during the shutdown. Notice how we have our theme of the month. It's still integrity for the last 3 months plus, because people forgot that shit so much in public.
Oh yeah, the integrity, and this goes into, like I said, I'm supposed to be closed. I'm still open. I'm gonna just be straight up about that, because like I'm not gonna lie and say we're not and then do behind closed doors, because I have integrity. I feel this is the right thing to do right now, and there's other examples of people. They're like, hey, like, what about New Zealand, for example? It's like, well, they froze everybody's rent and then they paid for everything.
Yep.
If our government did that and took care of our landlord's expenses or whatever it may be, and we're able to just close down, sure, I'd do it, because that means I have a business to come back to and a community to be able to support again.
Apples to oranges, though.
Yeah, it's
not
just
even apples.
Completely different. They're different worlds. They're different cultures. You can't compare. It's like comparing Thailand to the U.S. They're different.
Yeah. You
can't do a professional Muay Thai style camp as a business model here in the U.S. currently. It's like you get that word, it's not how they do it in Thailand. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, you can't do that here because it doesn't work here, because you can't train like that all the time. And I really, you can do it to an extent, but then there's some things that there's a reason why we do everything we do. There's a method to the madness, per se. So, yeah, well, with that said, guys, thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a great weekend for those of you on Instagram. Make sure to go follow us on TikTok at Pu'u Muay Thai, Instagram at Pu'u Muay Thai. We had some funny content over on TikTok. You guys haven't been on there. Also on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe over on YouTube. The Pu'u Muay Thai channel over on YouTube. If you're listening to this on iTunes, please go subscribe to the podcast. We're also on Spotify. Same thing, follow us on Spotify. Your reviews matter, guys. Your reviews matter.
Spotify, whoop whoop.
Yeah, on iTunes, if you leave a review, be genuine about it. If you think, hey, this sucks, 1 star, tell me why it sucks. All right, that way I can get better. All right. But again, guys, thank you everybody for tuning in. And then I look forward to seeing everybody training when I come in through this next week. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay tuned. Sort of cup.